Thank you. Okay, we're going to cover two topics tonight. First one is going to be empowering the team. What this boils down to is that Google researchers talked to more than 100 teams, and they found that the most effective teams were those where they had a group average average level of emotional intelligence, and guess what? A high degree of communications between members. Remember, I asked you to remember about communications everywhere. So with effective groups, they they're the ones that talk with each other a lot, communicate, and get their issues resolved internally. So we've got three words here: empowerment, unity, and autonomy. Okay. When we're talking about empowerment with teams, um, as it says here, empowered teams feel a sense of ownership of work, make decisions collaboratively, and share responsibility. Okay, how easy is that for a project manager? That's our first question of the night.
Is as a project manager, it's your job, I guess. So you should do your best to get that accomplished.
Okay. Who else would be, who else might you need to talk with if you're using empowered teams, especially at AT&T?
The client,
Okay, you could talk to the client.
Directors, managers. PMO office.
Yeah, it's major stakeholders because it's not necessarily the way that business is usually done. So you've got to have buy-in from the team itself. You need to make sure that you're not running into a brick wall with stakeholders. Okay? With the team, what you want to be doing is having the team itself take responsibility for delivering value and celebrating when that value is delivered. So what we want to do is prioritize team unity over individual contributions. We're looking for what the entire team can produce. So you as a project manager need to make sure that the team is functioning that way, where there aren't just a few individuals delivering everything, that it's an overall effort from the team. All right. And as a project manager, you also need to grant autonomy to teams to show trust, inspire, and boost productivity. Okay. And again, you've got to get buy-in from your stakeholders, especially at a corporation like AT&T, where things have been done differently for actually decades. So you want the teams to be basically self-aware. that they can do things, that they are responsible for producing value, and that they can organize how they feel is most effective. Okay? They work together and depend on one another. Right? Supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, the old DEI words. Okay? The thing is that, especially going forward, and within AT&T, uh, there are people from all types of countries, religions, background, um, different languages, different ways of thinking that are going to come together uh, to be a team, so that the team itself will function best whenever the team itself and the stakeholders and project manager uh, respect the individuals. Now, on that first bullet, it says empower teams as a cohesive unit. Uh, Replace the word but with and respect individuals. You're not going to negate empowering teams as a cohesive unit. Has anyone done any coursework or had the experience of the power of the word and? Okay,
Yes, instead of saying but, you use the word and.
exactly. You build on the thoughts that precede that conjunction in the sentence. If you use the word but, everything before the word but uh, is basically disregarded when you're talking about the entire sentence. Okay, so you want to keep building on things. Now, organizations will have standards about DE and I. So you need to make sure that you're following those. Um, and when a team is forming, then you have responsibility for putting the teams together. You may want to do things like um, trust building initiatives and morale building initiatives. Uh, these can be formal, can be informal. Uh, what I've experienced is we've taken some time even after hours and just gotten to know each other. You know, people talking about what their background is, uh, what their goals are, you know, how they think they can help the team, things like that. Yeah. But it needs to be conscious. It needs to be something that you as a project manager going to arrange. And you're going, and at least the first time through, you're going to be responsible for conducting them. Okay. One of the biggest things is the last bullet, acting and leading with empathy, trying to understand what other people are thinking, what, uh, based on their background, are you asking them to do something that really is capable, that they're really capable of producing, and honoring things like different calendars, especially if you're working with an offshore team. One of the big things that I learned while I was working with a different company, uh, I worked a lot with, I'll tell you, it was Motorola. Worked a lot with Motorola Israel, and their times that they were in the office were different than the times we were in the office. The calendar's slightly skewed. They have different holidays. Um, so what we did was we honored that. And what we did was we did a warm handoff every day. Okay, we had a couple hours of overlapping time when people were in the office. Okay, so they were ahead of the US time. So we'd take what they had produced, uh, added what we needed to, and then at the end of the day, we'd give it back to them. Okay. And it was accomplished by email. And when we'd exchange documents, but we'd talk every day, make sure things were understood, what the goals were, what any of the issues were. Okay? And I remember when uh, we had one effort that I was in charge of where you know uh, Iraq was shooting a bunch of Scuds uh, over Israel there, and a lot of the times the people we were working with were working out of bomb shelters. So you have to take things like that into consideration. Anybody give me a definition of psychological safety before we open up the official one? If someone can't, like to have
Go
someone
ahead, answer.
hazard a guess.
Making the team feel comfortable, I guess.
Okay, it's feeling comfortable, especially when we're talking about projects within your work area or with the people you're working with, where you can be, uh, you can do your best, come up short, and still not get punished. Okay, it's where people trust each other, and you feel comfortable discussing anything at all related to work. Um, I learned about this back when I was, again, at Motorola and we were building a replacement general purpose processor card for cellular switches. And the goal was to take the code that was written for an end of life chip and execute that on a new risk processor based board. And basic parameter was that the code had to execute twice as fast on the new boards. Well, we're looking at the code and the subcontractor. It was kind of strange environment because our switch supplier was buying boards from uh, Motorola Computer Group, putting them on a carrier card, writing code for it, and then selling them back to us, back to Motorola. So it's kind of a complicated arrangement. But the manager who was in charge of the project for the subcontractor discovered that not every instruction was able to be executed twice as fast. And I learned the power of psychological safety because he called me and told me that. And we worked it out. We did code profiling. And on the average, especially the most used instructions, executed more than twice as fast. So what he did, he felt he had the psychological safety to be able to tell me that they were not going to be able to make that uh, execution parameter for every instruction. But we worked together on it and made sure that we had the boards executing at twice the speed as the old boards. Okay. So it takes courage. Psychological safety isn't necessarily natural. You've got to have somebody who's willing and able to take a risk, to discuss something that may be controversial, okay? Or it may be a failure in the project. You as project manager need to take in the information and make sure that you don't go out to try and punish people. Learn from it and uh, see how you can build on it. Okay? So sometimes you can take something that uh, looks like a failure and make it into more of a success than anything. Okay? All right. In teams, I say team members should be comfortable being themselves at work, embrace diversity, build on trust and mutual respect, and ensure ethical decision making. Now let's see what our definition is here. Being able to show and employ oneself without fear of negative consequences of status, career, self-worth. Should be comfortable being ourselves in a work setting. Well, all right. There are 4 motivational theories and approaches. We're going to be going into each one of these in more detail in the subsequent slides. Anybody hear of it? Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. So for those who haven't, what we're talking about with physiological, the basic necessities of life. We need to have food, we need to have shelter. Okay? Above that, we need safety. Above that, a need of belonging. Okay, people are pack creatures. We like to, for the most part, like to be with other people and work with other people. Okay, above that is esteem, where people are feel that they are good at something, that they're accomplished, that they can work with other people on it. And finally, the highest portion of the pyramid is self-actualization, where people want to learn about new things, go out and investigate new technologies, new ways of doing things, and bring that back to the team. Now, this one is one that I haven't had too much experience with, but Herzberg's motivation hygiene theory. Um, you got two factors that uh, will uh, will work in tandem. Um, you may want to take a look at this, do a web check on it. It's why they're called hygiene factors. Uh, huh. The way it's divided here is the hygiene factors are salary and work environment. The things that motivate people are advancement, recognition, and engagement. They working with others, being able to work on an interesting project. Okay. Somebody, excuse me, uh, McGregor came up with the theory X and theory Y types of people. Theory X is authoritarian, okay, in these environments. Uh, theory X, theory Y are types of managers. Theory X is an authoritative manager where people don't like working under them and will avoid any extra work, okay, or you know any work at all that they can. People shun increased responsibility because they know it's just a path to failure. And the Theory X manager feels that people need to be directed, that they can't work on their own. Theory Y is Theory Y type management is participative, where people want to be a part of the organization, they want to be active. Uh, Workers seek job satisfaction, and they don't require direction. This is where there's a lot of trust between, say, a project manager and a team. You're not for the test. You're not going to need to remember all this stuff. Uh, I haven't taken the test in since I took it the last millennium, I think it was. So it's been a number of years for me.
Yeah. On the
Yeah, go ahead.
on the exam wizard, there was a question about theory X and theory Y as a practice
Okay.
question. So just giving a heads up that it might be there because it was on the exam wizard practice tests.
Okay, great. Good information. Thank you. Okay. This model theorizes that an individual's needs are shaped by life experiences in three areas: achievement, affiliation, and power. Um, and because of their experiences, one of these becomes dominant. As a project manager, you're putting together a team or evaluating a team, you can use this information to influence the goal settings for that particular team. And also feedback and motivation or reward systems. If you can identify what the team member strengths are, you can put each team member in a role that takes advantage of their strengths. And ideally, if you can find people who have complementary strengths where they can learn from each other, and improve their strengths. Okay, those can be the most effective. Um, what you want to be able to do too is identify, where people's strengths are and work with them uh, to make sure they become T-shaped people. Okay, so that they maintain their expertise in one area and are able to branch out and get experience in other areas that the project needs. All right, way back when the team was formed, came up with a team charter and ground rules. Okay. What you want to make sure as a project manager that the rules are visible. Everybody understands what needs to be done and what's expected of people. Also, if there's any pushback, consider uh, the circumstances. Has something changed? Does it make sense to modify the rules or the way that you're working together? And when you bring in new team members, you've got to make sure that they understand what the rules of working are too. Now, remember, we went uh, back through, what's his name? Bruce, all right, came up with the forming, storming, norming, performing stages uh, of a team. Bruce Tuckman. Okay. So whenever you have a change in the team, if somebody leaves, if somebody is brought on, um, if suddenly team needs to be working different hours, okay, any significant change will cause the team to go back to forming stage until they can adjust to whatever change has been brought on. Okay. In the case of a ground rule being violated or broken, don't just go out and discipline people for that. Try to understand the reason that it happened and what could be done going forward. Coach the team members so that they're well aware of the fact that the rest of the team is depending on them too. Okay. And save any harsh disciplinary action for severe violations. Okay. Really try to understand the reason that things happen. Be open about it and see how you can work with the team or the team members to handle any of those violations or to change the rules. Now, two different things here, rewards and recognition. Recognition is acknowledgement that somebody has gone beyond, above and beyond uh, what is required. Eh. Now, you also have to be aware of different cultures. Some cultures that you'll be working with do not like recognition for an individual or for a team. You have to understand what is going to positively motivate the team members. Okay, recognition is anything from you know uh, recognizing somebody in a team meeting and letting the whole team know why this particular individual stood out. Okay. Now, bottom line there, bottom bullet says, and remember this, recognition can be given without a reward. Okay. A pat on the back, uh, mention in a meeting, mention to a supervisor, things like that can are considered to be recognition. Now, rewards, on the other hand, these are physical things. It's something that is given to an individual or to a team for a specific outcome or achievement, like making a drop dead date on a project, making something like having a prototype or a functioning unit available for a particular show. Okay. The big thing is never give a reward with without recognition. Okay. So understand that rewards require recognition. Recognition does not require a reward. Now, what I've been mentioning, alluding to, is this. Be transparent and judicious when using rewards and recognition. Monitor the team for any negative effects resulting from misplaced or competitiveness or animosity toward another team member. Okay. we're making decisions. We need to empower the team to act. In the team charter, and especially with predictive projects, the decision-making and conflict resolution criteria need to be documented. And that should be documented for any type of effort too, whether it's hybrid or adaptive. Teams establish their own norms or way of working. You'll see way of working on a lot of the PMI documentation. You'll probably see it on the test. For any of the decision making and conflict resolution. Okay. Teams always try to achieve consensus. And let's see how they define consensus. Group decision technique in which the group agrees to support an outcome even if the individuals do not agree with the decision. Okay. Yep. So the teams need to make sure that they can move forward in an expeditious manner. And it doesn't do any good to go for a unanimous decision if it's going to bollocks up the entire project. Okay, if it's going to result in dates being missed, if it's going to cause rifts in the team himself. Decision makings, and let's talk about opportunities to empower the team. You know, we have activities that can show the team how to work better together. Some of the things that can be done are the clarification and prioritization of requirements or user stories. Requirements being mostly for the predictive projects, user stories for the adaptive, splitting requirements into tasks, and estimating efforts. I mean, if you're working on an adaptive project, you're going to be the team needs to estimate efforts every iteration. And also the team can work together to classify risks and develop a response or method of handling the risk if it does occur. All right. Can anyone think of other challenges that can be addressed by team decision making?
I guess just having multiple points of view, so not having a single focus.
Can you say again, please? I lost my earphones.
I said by having multiple voices, and you don't have like a single direction. You have multiple recommendations, and you kind of go in different directions.
Okay. How would that could you elaborate on that a little bit? Because we're looking for things that can be addressed by team decision making.
Well, just say for instance that you might have so many, like depending on the size of the team, you might have a certain number of people that want to go in one direction. You have a certain people that think that you need to prioritize A over B, and then you gotta kind of like a power, not necessarily a power struggle, but you got different forms of opinion that could throw things off if you're not on the same page.
Okay. So something like uh, your ways of work on making decisions could be applied at that point.
Right, or just say if we're doing a project and I say I think we need to have red, and someone else said I think we need to have yellow, and everybody has good points on it, but it's like, okay, well, that final decision, I know it's probably up to the project manager to kind of make that, to get that clarification from everybody and get their points, but it could be sometimes it could be straining because you might not have the buy-in from everybody, even though it might be just a simple decision.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Three different types of decision-making methods. Top one is voting. It's consensus driven and based on data, meaning that you collect the data, make sure people understand what the data means. You um, you come to a consensus, meaning that it's the best compromise solution that you can come up with. And what the gentleman just was talking about, if one group wants red, another one wants yellow, maybe orange is the solution. Unless you have to have a slogan with something rhyming with orange. Okay. There's also multi-criteria decision analysis, and this is totally data-driven. Okay. So you collect data on all the aspects that will affect the decision. And there may be many ideas that you come up with, and realize that when you're coming up with ideas, uh, try not to fire hose any. And by fire hose, what I mean is, just uh, disregard a potential approach. Okay. So consider all ideas. And then autocratic decision making. Well, that's where one person makes the decision for the group. Not the best way. It's usually best if the group talks with each other and arrives at a solution that they will agree to. Yeah. So decision-making methods, when we talk about voting, okay, there's unanimity where you have to have everyone agreeing to the same course of action. Now, if the project team itself has been working well together, you may very well be able to achieve this. Okay. Now, Delphi technique uses what?
Wasn't it like having like a expert come in and
Yeah.
like or ask experts what they
Yep.
think is the best path?
Yep. That's it. And hopefully the team has enough expertise to take one direction. Now, most of the time, you're going to be going with either a majority or plurality. Yeah. Majority is when you have greater than 50% of the group supporting a particular solution. Yeah. One word of wisdom here is when you're creating groups, make sure they are of an uneven number of participants so that you're never going to have exactly 50% and you're not going to be working, going back and trying to resolve ties or draws. Okay. Plurality is where you go with the largest block in a group, okay, deciding which way you go. Now, plurality can be useful when you have more than two options that you can go with. Okay. So there are methods of voting. Plurality, I've seen a lot uh, uh, that determined by dot voting, where you have a number of potential ways to go, the solutions or products to work on or whatever. But everyone in the team gets a certain number of dots or sticky notes. Okay. And they literally put their dots or sticky notes on a chunk of paper for the alternative that they want to take. Okay. Now, people can usually split their vote, their dots, between multiple solutions, or they can all keep them all on one. And for example, if you're holding a meeting and there are too many topics that people want to cover in a single meeting, you can do things like dot voting, where the majority rules. And if someone's really passionate about a particular subject, they can use all their dots on that one. Or if they want, spread them out if they're interested in more than one. Has anyone heard of a fist of five?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What is it then?
Towards the end of the PI, the confidence in the PI, right? All individuals on the train, they show the fist to express their confidence.
Okay. Now I've seen fist of five scored two different ways. With skilled agile, when you're talking about going into planning intervals, the exit from that, the more fingers that you hold up, and the thumb, we'll count the thumb as a finger. Okay, the more confidence you have. I've also seen it scored, but just the opposite, where 0 fingers or thumb up uh, means that you've got the highest confidence in the solution. And the less confidence you have, the more fingers you put up. Okay. We've talked about planning poker before. That's especially useful when we're trying to get estimates on an effort. Gives the team an opportunity to discuss the high votes and low votes and why they deviate from the norm. Okay. It's also Roman voting, thumbs up, thumbs down, and that's okay. Or polling, where you vote, usually anonymously on what you want, the direction that you want to go. One person, one vote. All right. See this guy here? Look at the little note. This is a really basic Kanban board mock-up. Okay, where you've got 3 basic states: the to-do, the working on, and the revise columns. Okay. What you need to remember, we need to have information radiators that are really displays of task accountability, especially in a predictive project. What we want to be able to do is to keep work in progress visible to demonstrate transparency of work completed. We don't want to be hiding things. I mean, some of our best friends there is WBS dictionaries and work package descriptions documents. Okay, so that you can track which tasks have been accomplished, what still needs to be addressed in the project. Another tool there is RACI chart. And we talked about those a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so that so that the whole team understands who's responsible, who's accountable. Okay, who you need to consult, and who needs the information about the project. With excuse me, with hybrid and adaptive projects, need to encourage team members to self-organize continuously in determining accountability standards. So you want you want teams to examine what the standards are, not necessarily make major changes unless they're required. Because remember, if we have a team and we make a major change, what happens?
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah.
You have disruption.
No. What happens to the team if the team continually makes major changes on accountability standards?
I don't think you really would have a real set in stone accountability standard because you're always moving the goalposts.
Well, that's one thing. But what happens to the team itself?
I guess on the other side of the spectrum, it can get stronger because you know that the accountability is going to be there. So
Okay. Um, if you're making a major change to that, though, what happens with major changes in the team?
Major changes typically disrupts, so the team has to reevaluate.
Okay, let's explore that a little bit more. What did we talk about half a dozen slides ago?
Trusting each other and
Okay. So what
um,
happens when you make a major change to a team? Say you add a person, subtract a person, or make a major change in accountability standards.
Are you referring to the storming and forming and all that stuff again?
Yeah. So what happens to the team?
They're less efficient.
So again, please, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
They're less efficient, right? They have to learn
Why is
how
that?
um, because they sort of have to regroup.
Well, let's go back to where
Not sure.
it was highlighted.
Is it that they lack psychological safety at that point?
They may. What's the exclamation point there?
Team goes through the forming stage after any change.
Yep. So expect that the team's not going to be working as efficiently as they did before any major change. You as a project manager need to be aware of that. You may get some situational questions on the exam that refer to that. Okay. That's the first module that we have today. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and I'll tee up the next one. Okay. If you don't want a break, let me know.
we agree with you, Harry. Yeah, take
I
the time to set
figured
up.
you would. I figured you would. Okay, the other topic we're going to talk about tonight is support team member performance. Okay, two ways that you can work with the team. One is by managing the team. The other way is by leading the team. Okay. Management, you can, we'll talk about is management by objectives, where objectives are established and shared with the team, and the team does its best to achieve those objectives. Okay. You can set objectives collaboratively with team members so they feel they have a say in it. What you need to do is create challenging yet attainable objectives. You don't want something that's so far out there that the team doesn't have a chance of achieving it. At the same time, you don't want to make challenges such that the team will be able to achieve 100%. You want to be stretching the team's capabilities, the individual's capabilities. Now, in a predictive project, especially, you're going to establish these objectives at the start of the project for especially adaptive and hybrid. The objectives will be at the start of a phase or at a planning interval. Okay. Anybody heard of the term servant leader?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So that a servant leader is someone who helps define the vision or defines the vision, aligns people to that vision, motivates people to pursue the vision, and basically serves the team so that they can produce their best. Okay. There was one practice exam question I saw a couple of years ago, and one of the choices on the question concerning servant leadership was, oh, get pizza for the team. The other ones were weigh in with your expertise, a couple other ones. And it turned out that getting pizza for the team was the correct answer, because you're not you're not exerting your influence on the team. You're showing them what the vision is, and you're supporting them in their efforts to achieve that vision. Now, if you're in a predictive project and you're doing things in the classical way, okay, you're going to be assessing individual strengths, weaknesses, aspirations, and preferences for each of the team members. And you're going to be looking for opportunities to improve their performance. Okay. So with predictive projects, you're going to use formal and informal assessment methods. You may have them take something like a Myers-Briggs test to see how they do things, you know, normally and under stress. And conduct the assessments when the team members join. So if you're putting together a project team for the first time, you'd be doing with this with each team member individually. This isn't a group effort at all. And then as a project manager, you'd monitor progress of each of the individuals toward their goals. With adaptive projects, the team itself regulates its own performance. You know, if there are issues that come up that are hindering performance, team needs to identify that to the project manager. And with adaptive efforts, focus is on the team, right, rather than the individual members of the team. So remember, with adaptive, we're looking at team performance. With predictive efforts, we're looking at how individuals contribute to achieving the goals of the predictive project. All right, some basic stuff that if anybody's ever been through a management class, that's what they talk about when you're doing a performance assessment. And in some organizations, project manager is responsible for performance assessments. Okay, so don't let your AT&T experience cloud your responses on the test. Okay. In order to assess someone's performance, you compare the performance to the goals that were set up front. Go back through and make sure that the individual understands his or her role and responsibilities. Big key, deliver positive as well as negative feedback. Nothing will turn an employee off more than all negative feedback. Okay. It'll come back to haunt you. A mentor that I've had introduced me to a technique where you identify 4 positives for every wish that you'd have someone change. Yeah. So even if they're minor things that are positive. And the key is the number 4, because human beings tend to think in threes. If you take a look at a telephone number, area code's 3 digits, exchange is 3 digits, and then you've got a 4-digit number coming after that. Okay? There are a lot of areas where you can think of, threes being grouped together. Okay. Now, ideally, a performance assessment is bidirectional. Okay? If there's something that's gone wrong, if the employee uh, has an issue that hasn't been resolved, you need to be able to bring that out. Okay. And also need to create and monitor individual training plans and establish future goals. All right. Personality indicators. And this really is looking beyond just introvert, extrovert. Now, there are some tools that are um, commonly used in determining or assessing what a person's personality is. Uh, the first one I'm not familiar with, but it is a 5 component assessment. Both Myers-Briggs and DISC are 4 components. Okay, these go beyond just plain old introvert, extrovert. And Myers-Briggs takes a look at an individual's um, indicators under normal conditions and also under stress. Okay. Excuse me. Especially Myers-Briggs and DISC, you can do those in a group setting and still maintain uh, some anonymity with it. Okay. So you can use them as an icebreaker or a team building activity. Now, they're not 100% accurate. So look at the results as indicators or predictors, not absolutes, right? These are on individual basis, so that you want to seek permission from the individual or from the team to um, to disseminate that information, and also make sure that you explain to the team what it's going to be used for. And what you want to do is make sure that they're used in a positive sense, not for retribution, not for performance assessment. Okay, so they don't call them. You don't make fixed assumptions or judgment based on the results. They're not absolute, so that we have indicators rather than fixed results. Things can change over time too. The individual's out of work situation can cause a change in any of these indicators. And again, don't share anyone's personal information without that person's permission. So personality research, understanding what types of personalities individuals have, can help a project manager steer people towards specific roles in a team and to assess how individuals interact with the rest of the team and be able to um, perhaps come up with a remediation plan if they're too far out. Worst case is that an individual's core beliefs don't align with the team's beliefs, in which case you need to, you know, you may need to replace that individual with somebody who can work better with the team. And if you're working with people, it's a real mushy subject. So if you have issues, if someone is not working well with the team, part of your job is to have that person replaced. Don't, at the same time, you don't want to jump on that solution. You want to give people, you know, some opportunity to get a better alignment with the team, and only if that isn't possible, you need to replace them. And it's detrimental to the team. It's detrimental to the project itself if you don't replace them. All right. Some of the psychological team roles, results oriented. That's one type of personality. Uh, Other people be focused on relationships within the team. Now, you may have some people on the team who are real innovators and think outside the box so far that they'll question a lot of the things that the team's doing, or how the team is implementing things. You've got to be aware of these and make sure that the team is either able to use the results from these people, or you need to understand what adjustments you need to make in the team. And you'll also have process and rule followers rather than rebels. And you have some people that just want to cut through everything and look at the best solution. I like to think back on I think it was a FedEx commercial that was about if firemen ran government. Okay. And it was basically, you know, we need a budget of so and so. Done. Okay. Just very pragmatic terms, no politics. All right. 5 main components of emotional intelligence. Starting off with emotional self-awareness by each individual. being able to regulate yourself, be able to motivate yourself and understand what motivates you, to be able to be empathetic with other team members, other people, and then understand what social skills you have. And excuse me, potentially which ones you need to work on. Okay, let's take a little bit deeper dive into it. Okay. We have on the axis here, or in the bins here, regulation, recognition, self, and social. So self is, the individual themselves. Social is within a team setting or within a social setting. Um, with an individual, okay, self-awareness consists of emotional self-awareness, being able to pretty accurately assess uh, who you are, why you're motivated, all of those components. Okay, and have self-confidence. So in social awareness is defined as empathy, organizational awareness, and having a service orientation to where you work well with other people. Now, self-regulation consists of things like self-control. Oh, think of that nice, freshly baked chocolate cake that's sitting on the counter. No? Do you have the self-control to maybe not even touch it? Yeah. Transparency so that you don't put up barriers so people understand and you understand, who you are. Also, being able to adapt to different situations at work, different organizations, different teams. Uh, for yourself, uh, understanding what your drive to achieve is. I mean, do you back in it was late 70s, early 80s. There were a couple of brothers, the Hunt brothers, one of which owned the Kansas City Chiefs, which were the Houston Texans at the time, or excuse me, the Dallas Texans at the time. Um, they wanted to corner the market on silver. So they bought up as much as they could find and drove the price through the roof. Okay. Understand why you want to do things. Yeah. And be able to self-initiate things. Understand what motivates you and work well as an individual and as a team member. All right. For social regulation, we're talking about things such as relationship management, where you need to be an inspirational leader if you really want to do the best for yourself and for the rest of the team. You want to develop others so that the overall organization benefits. Using influence rather than direction to achieve things. Being a catalyst for change. Handling conflict. And coming up with results that are positive. Going to be able to build bonds with other team members, with stakeholders, with people in a social situation. And you work more toward teamwork and collaboration rather than pure direction. All right. We've talked about empathy before, and empathy provides a foundation for understanding the motivations of other people. What you want to be able to do is assess a situation and proactively find out why a situation occurred. Now, could be somebody has something going on in their personal life that's taking a lot of time or a lot of effort, and that's why they may not be performing as you expected. The thing is that you need to dig into that. Make sure you understand the rationale behind it. Okay. All right, here's a list of empathetic traits that make individuals more able to contribute to collaborative, high-performing teams. So you want to be able to understand other team members and be more of a servant leader, have a service orientation. To help the team, you need to be willing to and actively developing others. Make sure that they have the skills necessary, especially for the project. And if possible, other skills that will help them achieve success within the organization. Want to be able to leverage diversity within the team and to be aware of political situations. That's what we have definition here. Okay. So when you have a team, it's like a microcosm. It's like any town, any city. You're going to have people doing different things to support the team. So if you're a high performing team member, you're going to be really good at communicating with the rest of the team, building bonds with the rest of the team, and helping other individuals build bonds with the team members. You're going to be very willing to collaborate with people and cooperate with what they need. Uh, excuse me, be a catalyst for change. Okay, have an open mind, be able to understand the benefits of proposed change, and to be able to communicate that to the rest of the team. If there are conflicts that occur within the team, be able to help those conflicts be resolved. You'll also use your influence with other team members, with project manager, with stakeholders, and be able to demonstrate leadership, especially within the team. Okay, some of the motivational elements: achievement, commitment, initiative, and optimism. So if you're achievement oriented, you want to set tough goals. You want to take some chances and have the rest of the team understand that there is a potential for failure, but each failure is an opportunity to learn. Okay. You'll also do your best to be successful. Understand how you can upskill yourself and the entire team, and to help focus and minimize any uncertainty of the project. All right. I'm not going to drain the slide. I'm getting too dry here. Any questions on these? Commitment, initiative, or optimism?
Nope.
Okay. All right. That's the end of this section. Any questions on what we covered today? All right. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here next Monday. You'll have somebody else for Wednesday, so don't skip class.
Thank
you very much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good week,
you.
too.
Good night. Thanks,
Thank you,
Harry.
bye.
Good night.
Thanks, Harry.
You're welcome.
Good night.